Presec versus St. Augustine's College versus St. Peter's. So really exciting. Stay tuned for that. And
my friend Emmanuel Sechere Sidu was not happy with us because we didn't mention St. Peter's in our documentary, talking about the stars in the competition. Niamu and Jonathan and Nathaniel, and of course Newton.
Yes. Well, St. Peter's, we're rooting for you as well. We know that you want to break the back-to-back win that Presec holds. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to be an exciting morning. I know. And now let's talk about stakes. But anyway, it's Kofi Ansah's birthday, so we will not criticize Presec this morning. We want to keep our jobs. But we're coming up with the newspaper review.
Let's start with the Chronicle newspaper. Front page stories: workers chase out MD at Takoradi Flour Mill. Odumasi shooting incident, deadly mission. Family threatens to display corpse at police station. No fear for legitimate investment in Ghana. That's the president assuring. And GJ wages war on filth. Those are the stories on the front page of the Chronicle newspaper.
On the front page of the Ghanaian Times, angry contractors besiege ministry, demand payments for contracts executed. 70-year-old woman wins first car MTN Momo at 10 promo. There's a lovely picture of her on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Government corrects economic fundamentals. That's according to the president. And Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service confirm polio virus 2 outbreak in Tamale. Oh, that's quite serious.
I saw it in one of the newspapers as well. The Daily Guide newspaper has drama at Mahama EC meeting. Tardy girls kidnappers trial starts. The 70-year-old woman winning the MTN Momo car is here. Ayoko Boche Seawin Africa Watch is also here. Korean minister visits Ghana. That's on page 6 of the Daily Guide newspaper. Back page of the Daily Guide newspaper: Ghana to host international badminton, and Mbappe PSG future uncertain. Those are the stories here.
On the front page of the New Crusading Guide, UK hails Anas as Foreign Secretary celebrates his work. Korea's Foreign Minister visits Ghana tomorrow. NPP government recruits 59,000 teachers since 2017. That's according to the Education Minister. That's the front page of the New Crusading Guide.
The Business Finder has Ghana loses $200 million yearly from petroleum smuggling. I guess when I mentioned $200 million, your mind is moved to something else. But here we are talking about money we lose in tax revenue due to petroleum smuggling. Other stories on the front page of the Business Finder: Africa free trade to rake in $35 billion. Inflation is down to 9.1%.
Okay, on the front page of the Daily Statesman, hashtag drop the hypocrisy. This drop the hashtag is really trending, and there's been drop the coach, drop the chamber, now drop the hypocrisy. NDC's hardship claims exposed. Now NAPO is showing us it's a good time to study in Ghana.
NAPO is the education minister.
Yes. It'll take quite a lot of convincing for me on that one. Premix to go digital, fuel distribution to be reformed. Fertilizer follows soon. That's the Daily Statesman.
The Daily Graphic newspaper has invest in Ghana with we have business friendly credentials. We have business friendly credentials. That's the president declaring in France. Receiver of defunct Unibank can sue in his name. That's a high court ruling. Review Yoko legal framework to make it independent. And MTN rewarding 1,000 customers in Momo draw is also here. Carpenter 34 wins self-contained house in Def Traco Graphic Dream House promo. Back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Taranga Lions prey on the Squirrels to qualify for AFCON semi-finals. The experiment by the Beninois finally came to an end yesterday, and Algeria eye revenge against Cote d'Ivoire. Madagascar to ditch Tunisia ?
Right. Okay, Malik.
Yeah, because Tunisia ditched ditched
Ghana, yes.
We are
So
hoping that we are
payback.
Madagascar ditches them too.
Payback, and hopefully it won't be like an Infantipim or Gasco ditch. Sorry, I had to do that. Apologies to the Butcher boys. I was hoping to see you in the finals, but anyway,
Daniel will pay you back.
On the front page of the Business and Financial Times, $27 million reconstructed Takwa Daman Road opens. Energy Summit 2019, make data available for oil exploration. That's according to the players of the industry. Electricity must be appropriately priced. June inflation drop makes case for policy rate cuts. That's the Business and Financial Times.
Anyway, let's start with money. And this is money Ghana loses. Oh, you have one more paper?
Yes, I do. I have the graphic showbiz, and the highlights this morning is on Ajete Anan and his wife renewing their vows today.
Yes,
because bridal fair starts today.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So join us. We'll be bringing you more details on that as the show commences. But pen it in your diary.
And
bridal show is from today till
tons
Sunday.
Of pictures from the
tons
event,
of pictures
on
and videos.
on our
yes,
Facebook
and
pages.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all over the place. Hashtag we're taking over.
Hashtag. Make your way to the conference center.
Yes.
Great things are happening there.
Okay,
let's start with money. This is money Ghana loses yearly, according to the MPA. Ghana loses $200 million in tax revenue due to the smuggling of petroleum products and other nefarious activities in the petroleum sector every year. Now, this is information which was revealed by the Chief Executive of the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, Mr. Alhassan Tampoli, who says that these activities also cause the country to lose about $12 million from the Unified Petroleum Price Fund annually. Now, Mr. Tampoli says that the areas where these activities largely happen are the Takrady Port, the Tema Main Port, the Pram Pram, Aflao, and the Eastern Coastline as the unapproved offshore routes where these smuggling activities happen. Now, what is happening is that many oil tanker ships, when they bring the oil, they berth somewhere, and people use small boats to go there and go and take the oil, bring it onshore, and then they sell it in the black market. Because oil doesn't come through the approved routes, the state doesn't get to impose taxes on it. If you note, about 49% of the price of petroleum product is made up of taxes and levies. Now, when you avoid selling your products through the approved routes, and you smuggle it or you bring it to the high sea and you get boats to go and pick it and you sell it, and you avoid the state, you avoid these taxes, the state loses colossal amounts of money. This is what Alhassan Tampoli is saying the state loses, and this is how the state loses this amount of money. We also know that there are companies in Ghana who usually take fuel under the guise that they're exporting this fuel to neighboring countries like Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, sometimes other countries like Mali. They end up selling these oil products locally. So tankers go and take fuel under the guise that they are taking the fuel to Mali. And because they're not selling the fuel locally, the taxes and the levies that Ghana would have imposed on that fuel is not imposed. But they end up selling it here. So they avoid these taxes, they avoid the levies, they make more money, the state is poorer for it. And you know that the oil marketing companies have complained bitterly. It is the reason why Hassan Tampoli and the MPA have undertaken various measures that they deploy to try and minimize the regularity of smuggling of petroleum products in Ghana. One of the other complaints Hassan Tampoli made at the conference was the subsidized petroleum products like premixed fuel, like marine gas. Those other products are also smuggled as well. Marine gas, for example, people take diesel, which is virtually marine gas, under the guise that they are going to put it in ships. They end up selling it in the open market. Because marine gas is supposed to be subsidized and the state doesn't impose tax on this marine gas, when they take it under the guise that they're going to put it in ship, they're going to use it as marine gas, and they end up selling it in the open market. They don't attract the taxes, they don't attract the levies, they don't pay, the state loses money, they make more money. So those are the complaints that Hassan Tampili laid at the launch of the conference, the International Petroleum Conference happening in Ghana here. That's the 2019 conference, which is happening in Ghana here, under the theme Regional Collaboration, a Catalyst for Transformation. That's what is happening. We know that Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia opened the conference yesterday, at which he talked about digitization of premixed fuel to reduce the smuggling. And our own Kwetenati has done a documentary on smuggling and the abuse of the subsidy that the state imposes on premixed fuel as well. Okay. I'm sure when they digitize it, all of that will minimize.
Okay. And also, we're going to talk about plastics for a second, because Professor Frimpong Boateng, who is the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, has been speaking. Now, he says that government will not entirely ban the use of plastics. The thing is, we see the kind of menace that plastics pose every time we're out there doing our sanitation walk or our sanitation drive, and we cry out, because yes, we really do want plastics banned, so that we have a cleaner Ghana, and so that our flood waters can actually just flow through the very inadequate drain system which we already have. But he makes a good point, Malik, because he says that plastics are used in all areas of our economy. You know, when we talk about plastics, we focus a lot on the pure water sachets. But he's talking about the fact that farmers nest their seedlings in plastic. In medicine, there's plastic everywhere for blood donation, for packaging of medicine, for sterilization of equipment. So he is saying that a wholesale ban is not in our interest. But what he is interested in doing is finding a way to ban plastic carrier bags, straws, plastic cutlery, chewing gum, and plastic in cosmetics, and other things in that kind of range.
When is the ban coming into force?
So that he doesn't actually say, so that it does not affect our health and economy unduly. And he does talk about the fact that we need an alternative to some of these, plastic situations. For example, if we banned plastic the sachet water bags, how would people sell water? And we can't, you see, the thing is, we can't say, okay, then we must find an alternative source for drinking water, because people are walking in town. Not everybody can afford to pay the 1 CD 20 pesos, the 1 CD 50 pesos for a plastic bottle. It would be nice if we were selling water in glass bottles, but do we have the capacity to produce? Do we have the capacity to recycle? Anyway,
before the introduction of sachet water,
we used to buy water in Olonka rubber bags. Do you remember?
Yes, I remember.
They used to sell the
before that. Before that, I
wasn't born, so I don't know.
So I think there's always in Rwanda and other places in Africa where plastics are completely banned. How are the people living? How do people have access to water? I guess that we can learn from what is happening in other countries, because plastics, to be entirely honest with you, is a big menace in this country.
Yeah.
I remember the last time, in the aftermath of June 3rd, Mahama Ayariga, who was environment minister at the time, said that we're going to impose a ban on some categories of plastics, yes, of a certain microns.
But we haven't actually seen. He says that there's going to be a bill presented to Parliament pretty soon concerning the use of plastics, and also the fact that some 2 Ghanaian firms have been empowered to convert plastics into petrol and diesel and pavement stones. I think the big focus right now is on recycling. If we can get that right, then perhaps we can buy some time. But I'm going to stay with sanitation issues for a second, because the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Mr. Ishmael Ashite, has been, and this article made me laugh, Malik. I'll tell you why in a second. He says that the Metropolitan and District Chief Executives will be held responsible for any avoidable flooding that occurs under their jurisdiction. So he has warned them to develop comprehensive sanitation plans and strategies to deal with the perennial flooding in the capital. He also says that they should put in place appropriate measures to avert floods and sanitation related challenges in their respective districts. So he goes on, to talk about the fact that you chill. He goes on to talk about the fact that, they have to be responsible for sanitation, for the water flowing. Then he also says that there should be an approach to manage surface water so that the volume of water that's running down to connect the sea is reduced. And then he also goes on to talk about our interchanges, our pavements, walkways, bus stops and streets, which have been invaded by hawkers and beggars, causing nuisance and filth. You see, my problem is that Malik, he's talking and he's sharing our frustration. But the thing is, in my mind, he's the one who is absolutely empowered to make these changes, to send people out there, to earn their salaries, to take people off the streets. I mean, you remember yesterday, for example, when we saw the rubbish that was underneath the bridge in Teshinungwa where Dr. Aya lost her life last year. You know, and the first thing that came to us was people are not earning their salaries, because you cannot tell me that people have not been paid to clear rubbish. And yet there are piles of rubbish. And in this area, actually, the housing is so unplanned that it's difficult for the rubbish trucks and all of them to get into the area to pick rubbish. So they're throwing their rubbish into these drains.
At the time that those houses were built, there was an assembly, there was a chief executive, there was a planning officer in that district. There were people who had the duty to ensure that no unplanned houses are built.
For example, the one that we saw, and I took a picture of it, it'll be on my Joy Online, where there was a red marking of stop work or remove structure. This has been built on a waterway. And the question was, so when the foundation was laid, nobody saw it. It was roofed. Can you imagine? It was completely roofed.
Yes, it was a complete building. It was completely done.
Anyway,
let's go to court. And the High Court has ruled that Ni Amano Dudu, who is the receiver of the now defunct Unibank, has no capacity to initiate legal action in his name against shareholders of the bank. We know that Ni Amano Dudu brought a case at the High Court against some 16 stakeholders and former shareholders of Unibank, and he was seeking to hold these shareholders responsible for acting in a manner which he said was not in the interest of the bank and violating or breaching their fiduciary duties to the bank. Now the High Court is saying, and this is a High Court presided over by Justice Jennifer Dazi, that's a case which she ruled. And she says that there's no provision at all in the Banks and Specialized Deposit Taking Institutions Act 2016, Act 930, that gives the receiver any power to institute legal action in his own name. Beyond that, the letter which was issued by the Bank of Ghana naming Ni Amano Dudu as receiver for Unibank also did not clothe him with any legal capacity to be able to initiate this kind of action. Therefore, the suit that he filed has been struck out by the High Court. Of course, the court says that arbitration can continue to try and retrieve whatever monies and to try and hold people accountable. But Ni Amano Dudu cannot bring legal action in his capacity as an individual. And usually when the lawyers talk about capacity, in order for a person to be able to bring a case in court, the person must have what the lawyers call capacity. The person must be placed in a position where the person can lawfully make that case, can lawfully bring that case. And the lawyers will always say that one person cannot sue to vindicate the right of another person. So the only person, according to the court, which could bring this case against these 16 would have been Unibank itself. And if you remember last week when I reviewed the story about Beige Bank, Beige Bank is a plaintiff in that case. Beige Bank is suing its former chief executive, trying to retrieve money from him and some other subsidiaries of Beige Bank.
Right. Well, we're moving on to our online news review, and it's brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest and GOIL Good Energy. Make your day productive by relying on quality fuel from GOIL, your 3-time CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year. GOIL Super XP and Diesel XP are additivated to enhance strong engine performance and prolong the lifespan of your vehicle. Above all, you're guaranteed extra quality with a fuel analyzer from our mobile laboratory van. Get your money's worth every day today by buying fuel and lubricants from any of GOIL's over 360 service stations nationwide and experience good energy. Buy GOIL. Go Ghana. GOIL. Good energy. GOIL. Yenara. Yedia. And when it comes to traveling with ease and comfort, Zenith Bank wide array of MasterCard and Visa cards will help you do just that, where you can conveniently use your Zenith MasterCard and Visa cards at over 33 million Visa and MasterCard branded ATMs worldwide. On the internet for online purchases and payments, in shop for payments of goods and services, and it's all Zenith Bank ATMs, and on local and international point of sale or retail outlets that accept Visa and MasterCard. Sign up today, or if you already have one, use the Zenith MasterCard and Visa cards for a great travel experience. Go light with Zenith Bank. It's faster and smarter. Zenith Bank, in your best interest. And myjoyonline.com is bringing us that story about Mama G being busted for selling unregistered sexual enhancers. So the FDA has arrested a woman who's popularly on social media known for her reproductive care products and sexual enhancers. Mama G's products, some of which are herbal formulations, are alleged to be effective at giving women who use them the ability to create greater experiences for men. So you can find that story on MyJoy Online. Ghana Health Service declares public health emergency following the detection of the poliovirus type 2. It's been found in Tamale. So we're a little worried about that. We'll keep our eyes on that one. South Africa grants visa-free status to Ghana. So Ghana is the latest country to be granted a visa-free status by the South African government, which is good news for those of you who have been wanting to go to South Africa and, like me, do not like visa lines. And BBC.com says Kenya suspends top betting company SportsPesa. Kenya's Interior Ministry has said it has not renewed the licenses of 27 betting companies, including the country's biggest. That's the online news review. We'll be going for a few messages, and when we come back, we will go to BBC for the news at 7.